card's declined again.
But my money's right there.
3.4 million pieces of mail are about to land this year, and every one of them is designed to make you think it's a scam. Wrong bank name on the envelope. A company you've never heard of claiming it now handles your Social Security. It isn't a scam, it's real. If your Social Security or SSI comes to you on a debit card, the Direct Express card, not a bank account, this is yours. And here's the part almost nobody says clearly. Your check isn't being cut, not by $1. What's actually at risk is quieter. The day your old card stops working and the new one hasn't been activated, your money is still sitting there, still yours. And you can't touch it. The old card works right up until the new one is activated. Miss that handoff, and you can be locked out of your own benefits for weeks. Telling the real letter from the fake one comes down to one detail. Coming up. Quick note before we go further. I'm not a lawyer, a banker, or your advisor, and nothing here is personal financial advice. It's the briefing that gets you asking the right person the right question. If that's useful, hit like now so more of Direct Express's actual users see this before the fake version finds them first. Start with the plain fact, because it's less dramatic than either version you've probably heard. The U.S. Treasury changed who runs the Direct Express program. For almost 20 years, that was Comerica Bank. Now, it's Fifth Third Bank. That's the entire event. A vendor contract changing hands the way it might for any large federal service, except this vendor happens to hold the card 3.4 million people use to eat, pay rent, fill a prescription. Nothing about your payment changes. Not the amount, not the date, not who's eligible. The Social Security Administration still decides what you're owed. Fifth Third is simply the new company issuing and servicing the card that money sits on. If you've seen a headline calling this a Social Security cut, that headline is wrong. Nobody is losing benefits over a bank switching contracts. So why 20 minutes of your attention over a vendor swap? Because it isn't happening on one day. New enrollments with Fifth Third started in May. Existing cardholders start moving over the summer in waves, continuing into next year. Your neighbor might get their notice in July, yours might not arrive until October. There's no single date to be on guard for. There's a months-long window to be on guard for. That's what turns an ordinary vendor swap into something worth paying attention to. Not the switch itself, but how long and quiet the window is around it. Here's what makes this particular transition dangerous in a way most vendor swaps aren't. The Social Security Administration's own Inspector General has warned about Direct Express phishing scams before. Text messages and calls pretending to be the program, asking someone to verify their card number or PIN. That's not new. What's new is the cover story, now writing itself for free. Think about what a scammer needs to make a fake message convincing. They need something true enough that the target won't question it. A real event, a real bank name, a reason the message makes sense. Right now, the transition to Fifth Third hands them exactly that, gift-wrapped. A text saying, "Your Direct Express card is being updated. Click here to activate," is almost indistinguishable from the truth, because the truth right now genuinely is that cards are being updated. So picture two messages side by side. One says, "Your card is transitioning to Fifth Third Bank. Watch for it in the mail." The other says the same thing, with a link asking you to confirm your card number first. Read them fast, half distracted, the way most of us read anything on a phone, and they sound like the same message. They're not. And the difference isn't in the wording at all. Direct Express, Fifth Third, Comerica. None of them will ever ask for your card number, your PIN, your password, or a security code. Not by text, not by phone, not by email. That's the one sentence worth remembering out of this entire video, because it's the sentence that works on every version of this scam, this year and every year after it. The real transition needs your address to be current. It does not need you to type your card number into anything. If a message asks for information instead of just informing you, that's the tell. Not the logo, not the bank name, not even bad grammar. The ask. The text version isn't the only shape this takes. There's a phone version too, and it's arguably more convincing, because a live voice can react to hesitation in a way a text can't. Someone calls, says they're from Fifth Third Bank, tells you your Direct Express account has been flagged for the transition and needs to be verified before your next payment can process. If you push back, they don't hang up. They get more specific, maybe reading back the last 4 digits of a card number they don't actually have, but are guessing you'll assume they do. That confidence is the whole trick. A real transition doesn't need your cooperation on the phone at all. It just needs your address to be correct and your card activated once it physically arrives. If you've already gotten a text or a call like this, the "Your card is transitioning, verify now" version, put your state in the comments. It'll help other people gauge how close this wave already is to their own mailbox. So the safe move seems obvious now. If you can't always tell the real message from the fake one at a glance, just ignore everything. Don't click, don't call back, don't even open it. Shred the letter, delete the text, treat the whole subject as radioactive until it blows over. A lot of people are doing exactly that right now, and most of them think they're being careful. That instinct is wrong, and it's wrong in a specific way worth walking through slowly. Ignoring every message about this transition doesn't just protect you from the fake ones. It protects you from the real one too, because from across a kitchen table, an envelope from Fifth Third Bank about your Social Security doesn't announce which category it's in. It looks the same whether it's the scam or the government's own mail. Shred every version on principle, and you've shredded the one piece of mail that actually needed your attention, the notice telling you a new card is coming, or the card itself. Think about who this hits hardest. Someone who's been burned by a scam before, or has a parent who tends to overcorrect. Anything unfamiliar gets treated as guilty until proven innocent, and the safest habit becomes throwing all of it away without opening it. That habit is smart against a scam, against a real federal mailing rolling out in waves over the better part of a year. It's the exact behavior that turns a piece of paperwork into a missed deadline. That's the trap underneath this whole transition. It isn't that the fake message tricks you into acting, it's that the confusion between the two convinces you not to act on either one. And staying passive is only the safe choice for the message that's fake. For the real one, passivity is precisely how someone ends up locked out of their own money for weeks, which is exactly where this goes next. Here's what that actually looks like for one person, because locked out of your benefits can sound abstract until you watch it happen to someone specific. Eleanor is 71, living outside Dayton, Ohio. She's been on Direct Express for years. No bank account, never needed one. The card handled everything from groceries to her electric bill. 8 months ago, she moved into a smaller apartment across town after her building went co-op. She updated her address with the post office. She never thought to update it with Social Security directly, because in her mind, the post office forwarding her mail was the same thing. For a while, it was. Forwarded mail found her fine. Then the notice about the Fifth Third transition went out, not forwarded, because by federal rule, this kind of mail isn't always eligible for forwarding the same way a magazine is. It went to her old address instead. A new tenant had already moved in. The letter sat there, unopened, eventually returned to sender. Eleanor didn't know any of this had happened. She just knew that one week, her card stopped working at the pharmacy counter. Declined. Then, at the grocery store. Declined again. Her Comerica card hadn't expired. It had simply been deactivated as part of the rolling transition because the system had no confirmation she'd received or activated a replacement. The new Fifth Third card had been mailed weeks earlier to an address that was no longer hers. Her benefit hadn't been cut. Every dollar she was owed was still there, sitting on an account with her name on it. She just had no way to reach it. It took her 17 days on the phone with Direct Express support, a trip to a Social Security field office, and a temporary loan from her son to cover groceries in between, before a replacement card reached her at the right address and she could use her own money again. Nothing about Eleanor's story involves a scam. No one stole from her. The system simply ran exactly as designed, with no exception, for someone whose address on file was one step behind her real one. That's the quiet failure mode this transition creates, not theft, just a gap between where the government thinks you live and where you actually do. So back to the letter sitting on your kitchen table, or the text sitting on your phone. Here's the detail that actually separates the real one from the fake one, the one promised at the start of this video. The real transition only ever asks you to receive something and confirm something. Receive a new card in the mail. Confirm your address is current. Activate the card once it physically arrives, using the number printed on the card itself or the official Direct Express app. That's the entire list of things the genuine process will ever ask of you. It will never ask you to read your card number out loud, never ask for your PIN, never ask for a password, a security code, or your full Social Security number over text or phone. Never send a link asking you to verify your account before your new card ships. If any message, text, email, or a phone call asks you to provide information rather than simply give you information, that message did not come from Direct Express, Fifth Third, or Comerica. It came from someone who read the same headlines you did. There's a second tell almost as reliable. The real Direct Express will never rush you. There's no version of this transition where a legitimate message says, act in the next hour, or your benefits will be suspended today unless you click now. Urgency manufactured to skip your judgment is, on its own, close to proof of a fake. The actual rollout is slow on purpose, months, not minutes, precisely so nobody has to make a fast decision under pressure. So if something arrives asking for information or pushing you to act immediately, hang up, close the text, and instead call the number printed on the back of your physical card or go directly to usdirectexpress.com by typing it in yourself, never through a link someone sent you. That single habit, calling the number on the card instead of the one in the message, defeats almost every version of this scam that will ever exist this year or 5 years from now. If you've caught yourself about to click one of these before slowing down to check, that's worth admitting in the comments too. It's a more common moment than most people think. Knowing how to spot the fake is half of this. The other half is making sure the real one actually reaches you, because Eleanor's story wasn't caused by a scam, it was caused by an address that was one step out of date. So here's what to actually do, in order. First, confirm your address is current directly with the Social Security Administration, not just with the post office and not just with Direct Express. SSA is the record that ultimately drives where this notice gets mailed. You can check and update it through your online My Social Security account or by calling SSA directly. This takes about 5 minutes, and it is the single highest leverage thing in this entire video, because every other protection depends on the notice actually reaching you. Second, keep using your current card exactly as you always have. You do not need to stop using a Comerica card, cut it up, or request anything early. It keeps working right up until your Fifth Third replacement arrives. Trying to get ahead of the process by calling and demanding an early switch just adds confusion to a system that's already handling 3.4 million accounts on its own timeline. Third, when the new card physically arrives, not a text about it, not an email, the actual card in your mailbox, activate it the same day if you can, using the number on the card or the official app. That's the moment the handoff completes. The longer a new card sits unopened on a counter, the longer the old one stays as your only working access, and the more exposed you are if that Comerica card is deactivated on Fifth Third's schedule rather than yours. One more scenario worth covering, because it doesn't fit neatly into those 3 steps. What if your card is lost or stolen during this exact window while you're waiting on the transition? The answer is simpler than it feels in the moment. You call the number on the back of whichever card you're currently using, report it immediately, and they deactivate and reissue it the same way they always have. A card lost mid-transition doesn't restart your enrollment or put you at the back of some longer line. It's handled as its own separate issue on its own separate timeline, regardless of where Fifth Third's rollout happens to be that month. The one habit that matters here is the same one from earlier. Call the number on the card, not a number from a text or a search result. 3 steps, plus that one exception. Confirm the address. Keep the old card working normally. Activate the new one the day it lands. Report a lost or stolen card the moment it happens, using the number on the card. None of them require you to give anyone information, only to receive it, confirm it, and act on your own schedule instead of someone else's. One thing before we end, and it's the part of this that matters more than the transition itself. Everything in this video applies twice as hard to someone who isn't watching it. A parent, an aunt, a neighbor down the hall who's on Direct Express and doesn't use a smartphone, doesn't have email, and wouldn't see this video if it played on every channel they owned. Eleanor wasn't caught by a scam. She was caught by a gap between her real address and the one on file, and nobody in her life closed that gap for her because nobody knew there was a gap to close. If you know someone in that position, the most useful thing you can do today has nothing to do with anything explained so far. It's calling them, or Social Security, on their behalf and confirming the address on file is actually current, not asking them if they think it is. Confirming it. That's the piece almost never said in a video like this, because it isn't about you protecting yourself. It's about you being the safeguard for someone whose only exposure to this entire transition is a wallet that suddenly stops working with no explanation attached. And here's the part worth keeping long after Fifth Third is fully taken over and this specific transition is forgotten. The habit this video actually built isn't watch out for this one bank switch. It's the real one asks you to receive and confirm. The fake one asks you to hand something over. And that line doesn't expire when this rollout finishes sometime next year. It's the same line that will hold the next time a program changes vendors, the next time a benefit shifts platforms, the next time anyone claiming to be the government texts first and explains second. You won't need to relearn this. You'll just need to remember it. So the order. One more time, because it's the only checklist this video is going to give you. Confirm the address is right, yours, and if you can, someone else's who might not think to. Keep the old card working exactly as it has been. Activate the new one the day it lands, not the week after. And anytime something asks you for information, instead of simply giving you information, that's not a detail to puzzle over. That's the whole answer, every time. If this saved you from opening a link you shouldn't have, or reminded you to check on someone who needed the reminder, that's exactly what it was for. Share it with the person who needs to hear it, not the person who already knows it.